Welcome to Kathy'sRight.com, your pit stop for the conservative mind, heart, and soul. Plausible deniability. Plausible deniability, the name of my newest work of art. How fitting. Jim Biden, brother of Joe Biden, had planned on pretending not to know about monies paid to the Biden crime family in exchange for access and influence, all under the name of Vice President Joseph Biden, or should we say crime boss. When asked if he was worried about getting caught, he answered with 2 words: plausible deniability. So he could always say that I really didn't know the full extent of what was going on, basically lie. So not only is he good crook, or if there is such a thing, but he's a legally well-versed crook. Joe himself admitted to withholding $1 billion from Ukraine unless they fired the prosecutor. So Ukraine did what he asked, and son of a bitch, as Joe bragged in the Ukrainian the deal settled. Hunter Biden was now safe from prosecution in a country famous for corruption. Hunter was on the board of this company. It was under investigation. It was an oil and gas company. Kind of hilarious, don't you think, given that now we're expected to believe that Joe Biden wants to eliminate fossil fuel companies so that we can all have clean air because he cares about us. Oh, that Joe. Or shall we call him the big guy like Hunter does? That is a wicked crime family, and Joe Biden is the boss. I'm sure he gets his cut right off the top. So let's look over and beyond all of that wickedness. I mean, after all, he's our kind-hearted Uncle Joe. Who are we to question anything that the mainstream media deems important enough for us to know? Maybe we don't know what's best for us ourselves. We'll let the mainstream media decide that for us, right? They were so forthcoming about the Russian collusion theory. We heard about it for 3 years. They were liars then, and they are liars now. They expect us to take their word for it about how we voted and who our president actually is for 2020? I don't think so. I'll tell you one thing. I don't trust the media or the Democratic Party. They are vipers. They are one and the same. Thank God for President Trump for exposing their true colors. Before Donald Trump came into office, I was somewhat naive. I mean, I knew there was a proliferation of corruption, as in any large industry or institution. That's a given. But the depth and depravity of the Democrats throughout the I was floored. I'm shocked and surprised daily, especially 2020. This is one year I can't wait for this year to end. I will kiss 2020 goodbye. Goodbye, 2020. But no, they expect us to take their word for it? Really? The big guy? We're supposed to take his word for anything? Like Hunter does? That's a wicked, wicked crime family. He's kind-hearted Uncle Joe. And who are we to question anything from the mainstream media? Really? Who are we? Maybe we don't know what's best for us to know for ourselves. We'll let mainstream media decide for us, right? They were so forthcoming about the Russia collusion theory. We heard it for 3 years. They were liars then, and they are liars now. They expect us to take their word for it about how we voted or who our president actually is for 2020. I don't think so. I don't trust them. I never will again. They are vipers. They're all in the same club. I mean, you can't tell one from the other. It's just like those riots. You could not tell the peaceful protesters, which I don't think there were any of those, but they say there were peaceful protesters amongst all of these hoodlums, right? Nah, but you couldn't tell. You couldn't tell. When you looked at the videos that I saw, you could not tell. I would love for them to point it out to me. That one's a peaceful protester, and that one's not. I guess you would determine it as to whether or not they had a brick in their hand. I mean, they started a whole new American lingo. I heard one dude on there saying, he got bricked, meaning someone got hit in the head with a brick. This is atrocious behavior. This is not civilized. They're turning us into a third world country. Do you understand that? The Democrats, the left, are turning this country into a third world country. And we can't let that happen. We've worked too long and too hard and suffered too much. That would mean all the wars that all of our parents ever went through, every single one of them, every sacrifice, every march for civil rights, all of those things, just throw it away. Or better yet, wrap it up in a bow and just hand it over to the communists, the Chinese communists. Just hand it over. It was all for naught. Forget what our ancestors suffered. Forget all the sacrifices made. Forget it all. We're just going to hand it over to some communist. I don't think so. Not without a fight. So while we don't trust the media anymore, the media is kind of mad at us. At least on Fox, Harris Faulkner, she seemed a little annoyed with us because we didn't believe them. Sandra Smith on Fox, she was very upset because this lady didn't believe. She goes, well, we called it. The lady didn't believe that Joe Biden actually won. Well, we called it. I don't care if you, Sandra Smith, or Harris Faulkner, or any of you people on whatever network says you calling it. That's not in the Constitution. A person becomes president once the news people say so. No, because we didn't elect you. So there's that. So in order for our country to get back into order, there's no going back as far as this world. Things are constantly going to change. There's never a way to go back. But going forward, we can definitely improve forward. There's always hope for that. In spite of Soros and his crew, there's always a hope for a future. But we have to be willing to work for it. We have to be willing to fight for it. We're going to have to make sacrifices like our forefathers did. We needed a political outsider in order for this country to get delivered by God. We needed a political outsider who wasn't a part of the club to expose what we see today to be total corruption. That the whole election, I don't trust it at all. I've heard too many stories on too many different media, and some of them conflict, some of them seem to be the same, but I don't know who to listen to anymore. Do you? I used to really trust Fox, and they've showed their true colors recently. I still like Hannity. I really still like Tucker. I love Jesse Waters, and who's the other one I like? Can't think of it anymore. But that's it. Oh, Greg Gutfeld. I like him. He's an atheist, which is sad because he used to be Catholic, but he's still very funny. I still believe he loves this country. And, I believe there's always hope that somebody will come back to God. That's my hope. They might have been astray. Many people have been astray, and they go through an experience, awakening experience, or a coming to Jesus, or a born again experience. But I think there's hope. So whenever I hear someone is an atheist, I'm not mad at him, but I'm going to pray for him because I really think he's a nice guy. And I think he'd be a better guy if he got with the program of Jesus Christ. How about that? That's just my belief. MSNBC, they're mad at us too because we don't believe them when they call the election. And so they keep reminding us that we're just, uneducated, toothless trolls, basically. And so that's pretty much how they talk about it. It's like, we called it. And they say each day, there's absolutely no evidence of voter fraud. What a colossal lie. There's tons of evidence of voter fraud, election fraud, tons. They've got that glitch in the computer. They've got that, I think it's called Dominion or something. Computer is made in China. They've got so much about people dumping votes into the trash bin. There's video of people tearing up votes. There's a lot of evidence. I don't know what they're talking about. There's no evidence. They think that if they keep saying it long enough, we'll just sort of get it. We'll start to absorb it as truth. Kind of like subliminal manipulation. Remember the olden days when we used to go to the movie theaters? You'd go to the movie theaters. We didn't know back then, but during the film, they would put one or two frames of popcorn or soda, and it go by so fast you never really saw it, but subliminally your brain saw it, and so it would make you crave candy and popcorn and soda, so you'd get up and go buy more food, because everybody knows they don't really make the money from the movies, they make the money from the concession. So when people go buy the food and the popcorn and all that yummy stuff, that's how they make their money. And so they did subliminal manipulation, and they put several frames that you can't see with the naked eye. You won't remember it. So they outlawed that years ago. But I don't think they ever really check, if you know what I mean, because they outlawed it years ago. But they never remember there was that law that they said the commercials on TV can no longer be louder than the show, because you know you'll be watching a show and all of a sudden, it's so loud, and you wonder what the heck. And they're not supposed to be doing that now. They outlawed it, but somehow it crept back up and up and up. And obviously there is no FCC anymore or something, because nobody does anything about it. It's back up to full volume every time the commercial comes on. So they're still manipulating us. I studied film, and I know a lot about those things, including placement and the way that you put someone in a situation, and lower disclosure, which is Alfred Hitchcock. I love Alfred Hitchcock. I love Alfred Hitchcock movies because he used lower disclosure. And so his idea, which is very true, is he would present you with a photo or a series of photos, like in Psycho, the shower scene. And his idea is that your mind will make a bigger mess of it than he could possibly do on camera. So when the shower scene where the knife goes up and down, you never see the knife actually pierce the body. You see the knife go up, you hear the music, wah, wah, and then you see on the floor of the shower, and there's blood going down the sink. Now, we never actually see a stab or even a stab wound. We don't see the stab wound because it's lower disclosure. Our imagination makes up for what we don't actually see, and our imagination is quite more frightening than what he could possibly produce on camera. And so there's a lot of tricks to film, which I love studying film. But yeah, they're still doing it, and this election is no different. They're going to be doing it even more. And ABC, they think they're good at it now, but they're not. I mean, there are a few people who maybe their IQ isn't so high, and they watch ABC as the gospel. Like what Whoopi says is the gospel. So when she says at the end of the show, wash your hands, I'm sure there's some fools somewhere that run to the sink right away and go wash their hands because Whoopi just said so. The queen of personal hygiene. So just, oh my gosh. So here we go. Lie after lie. The Russia hoax. And they're lying now because that's all they've done for years now. And so why do they think we're supposed to believe everything the mainstream media is delivering? It just simply, they've lost our trust. We don't believe them anymore. We side-eye them if we watch them. We're like, oh yeah, I'm not so sure. So there wasn't enough excitement in my view. I didn't see enough excitement for Joe Biden for him to get the numbers that they're claiming that he actually got more votes than any presidential candidate ever. You know for a fact Trump won with a landslide. That's why they had to creep in at 3:45 in the morning and bring in all these votes. And what's curious about these votes that came in the middle of the night, when I see cameras, everybody's got a camera, but just like those bricks, remember the bricks during the riots, they had just appeared and nobody knew where they got them, because you typically don't find rocks and bricks and Molotov cocktails on the street corner, when you go downtown anywhere. They're just not laying around. Most downtowns don't have that. So they're delivered. People saw pictures of them, and nobody claims responsibility for delivering the bricks. I think the same people who delivered the bricks, frankly, delivered the fake votes and all the dead people. I'm pretty sure. They think he's gotten more than Barack Obama, he's like a demigod in the black community. My mother has an entire room dedicated to Obama, pictures everywhere of Obama. She was so proud and so happy. You have to understand where she came from. She came from a situation where she did everything she would see a black person on TV. And then when Julia came on, oh my gosh, she was so happy there was a colored woman on TV. So having a black president was big for her. Regardless of what he did, it was a big deal for my mom. So I get that. I understand that. But after the fact, I just can't. With Barack. President Trump, I believe he had a clear lead, and I think he won fairly. But they're trying to strip that win from him because they don't like to see him win anything. And they were so angry and so power hungry, they would have done anything. And I think we're going to find out. I think it's going to be exposed. I hope heads will roll. I've been waiting for heads to roll since they started the whole pandemic and the whole corruption, Russia collusion lie. I'm still waiting for heads to roll. The only heads I saw roll were Republicans, and they weren't even involved. So I really want to see some Democrats' heads roll. It would be nice. Or have they covered their bases? Are they covering up for each other so well now that it just doesn't matter? They think we just don't care. I care. I do care. And those ballots that came in the middle of the night, no other parts of the ballot were filled out. The only part of the whole ballot was filled out was Biden. Thousands upon thousands, just Biden. They didn't vote for council members, city councilmen. They didn't vote for mayors. There was all sorts of things going on during this election. They didn't vote for anything in these overnight votes except for Biden. Now I'm talking, when you talk 15,000 at a time, 15,000 ballots, what are the odds 100% of them will be for Biden? What are the odds? My word for, I have one sentence I'd like to say to the mainstream media. How stupid do you think we are? Well, don't answer that, because obviously you think we're very stupid if you think you're going to slide by with that. All of them are wealthy now. They're freaking millionaires. Hillary, Obama, the Bidens. Yeah, all from public service, I'm sure. Obama and Michelle, neither one of them have their legal license anymore. So how are they making, the books? Yeah, and then now Netflix. But Netflix came after they bought that big mansion on Martha's Vineyard. Remember? Martha's Vineyard. Now, if the world is going to be, at least America is supposed to be 10 feet under, 12 feet underground, under the water in 10 years, if that were the case, why would they buy a house on the beach? If we're all going to be underwater because of global, weather things, how is that going to work? Are they going to move uphill? I don't know. I don't buy it. I think the climate has always changed. I think the climate always will change. I don't think there's a doggone thing that mankind can do to change the climate. This is just mankind trying to be God. I mean, if climate didn't change, then we'd still have dinosaurs. Obviously, climate changes constantly. We just have to change with it. But they're making a lot of money. Al Gore got filthy rich selling that scam. So no, I don't believe in climate change per se, as if it were something we can do something about. Do I want clean water? Absolutely. Do I care about clean air? You doggone right I do. But climate change is a scam. And they're wanting us to believe that we are protecting the planet. The planet, yeah, I'd like to protect all the animals in the ocean. That one turtle with the straw in his nose, that bothered me a lot. And now I think they've outlawed straws in California. But they still have cannibal restaurants. Yeah, it's a real thing. In LA, they have a cannibal restaurant. I kid you not. Somebody sent me, it was on Facebook actually, and they had their own Facebook page. I guess that the community standards, that was fine with community standards on Facebook to have a cannibal restaurant there. I wonder if it's still there. A friend of mine sent it to me. I couldn't believe it. I said, they're not going to have that on Facebook. I mean, they won't even let me put a Bible quote on Facebook. They're going to. Then she showed me, and then I went and typed it in, and there it was. So I wonder if it's still out there. I don't want to see it again, so I'm not looking. But it was there. It was a real thing. I saw it myself. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a fight we're going to have to fight. It's going to get ugly. It's going to get ugly. No matter how it all officially turns out, we don't know just yet, but the decay and corruption run so deeply. No matter how they try to twist and manipulate the American psyche, the left has waged war against themselves and the people of goodwill in this country. They don't even know it. I mean, when they're fighting a war to make all of us less free, they're actually fighting against themselves. And that's pretty stupid. So they're fighting that war. So we're going to have to war back. And there's a lot of ways to do that. I mean, we can fight by using our First and Second Amendment, that is for sure, before they try to whittle that away from us. But we were preordained for this fight. Stay ready. Soldier up. We've got some thugs to take down. This is Kathy of kathysright.com. I love you guys. God bless America. Bye.